visualization, biofield practice. So in its most simplest form, when we do right hand down, left hand up, this is a polarity positioning. The right hand sends, the left hand receives energy. So when you're sitting by yourself and you're sending with your right hand to your left hand, you're creating an energy ball. This has always been the issue. And thank you for your question, the way you phrased it, because a lot of people are having a real hard time putting this together thanks to a lot of disinformation regarding meditation, visualization, hemisync. When you go to YouTube and you look at the unicorn wearable, they put a headset on their head and then they navigate the drones with their mind. How are they doing that? Kinetic energy is a big format. They have hand motions that they up, down, back and forth. Then they programmed those motions to subtle hand motions, different parts of muscle strata, kinetic energy to software chips in the left hemisphere, RENEAS, chip from Microsoft OpenAI Azure. Now they really are piloting the drones or big equipment or other people, synthetic robotoid types. This is not a joke. This is software and hardware. Okay. Now for people like myself, I'm not waving my hands in the air, just like they're not waving their hands in the air. When I say right hand down, left hand up, connect with another person, those of you that struggle, you need to get your meters out. There's an electrical ion and electron charge coming back and forth on the body. And when people slap on a unicorn wearable, that's an external biosensor system. I am a modified human. I'm augmented. So I have a body-machine interface from birth. But my natural abilities grew without a chipset, a system on a chip, a wearable, ingestibles, and all the shit that they use. And for them, we've got 10 years of market and commercial marketing for exactly, here's a Sensate wearable, SENSATE. You put it on, it adjusts your brain waves so you can have a better meditation experience. Now rewind. I say create an energy ball. First thing people do is they're like, well, I can't really feel anything. I can't see it. What do you mean? You mean to tell me when you take a deep breath and you put your hands a little too close together, what they used to do in the 80s and the 90s, they'd have people rub their hands a little bit first, and then you'd be able to feel like the tinglies when you focused on sending the ball from the center of your chest all the way down through your elbow and from your right hand into your left until it becomes a full circuit. Okay? So, because we didn't tell anybody that the body emits its own energy, and we told everybody just visualize, astral project. They can't feel it. They have no idea what you're really talking about. Well, the people using the different wearables now, they know what you're talking about. They can definitely feel the different energy because they're connected to the ambient, the pervasive, and the other ways that they're pulling the energy right out of the air and making it possible to use telekinesis with a wearable, more synthetic telepathy with a wearable, or, again, embedded ingestibles, etc. Where are these abilities without adding a wearable and in nanolipids? Where are they? You're looking at it. And of course, God bless you. No offense if you don't believe in the Lord, but your mind goes to the right place. I was alive in the 90s and know exactly what you're talking about. But you know what? That's how it works on the dance floor. And I was in Minneapolis and Milwaukee, and that was one of the first places I was watching shit go down, in the club. They were never just waving their hands in the air. All they did was they had glow sticks back then, or like what you said about gloving. Okay, so I can see it. Look, it makes pretty colors. Why don't you go check that out on spectroscopy, infrared. Among other ways that we measure neurons and neuron-to-neuron exchange coming and going out of the near field effect. Radio frequency people, peer-to-peer nano, radio frequency people. When are you going to fucking tell people out there that when you're waving your hands in the air, that you're affecting change with your own ions, your own electrons? Only if you got your power glove, right? Fort Benning, March 2022. drones with my mind. Yeah. And I used to have a bunch of biofield practices loaded on the channel with the order of operation where the first thing you do is center and focus, expand your field, shove all the energy off and off, or out and off of you, out and off of your room. The software that they use is built on grids, no different than turn-based strategy games. So here in my home, this is a square room, for example. Step one, every bit, every single molecule out as I expand my biofield. Oh, you can't do that. You got to have a wearable. Or you got to have something you can look through. No, I don't. That's how when I call people or when I talk to somebody online or on the phone for years and years, never needed caller ID. I know what you're wearing when you connect with me or right before you do. When you're sitting at your desk, I see what you do. That's natural telepathy, empathy, precognition, running through my biofield, okay? So when I'm pushing with kinetic energy, I'm affecting ion and electron change biochemically. I'm affecting my bloodstream. Then I am elongating. I am extending the wave. I am amplifying the density, connecting to the ley line, which is right here on the front. When I paddle erect like that and it's coming and going, that's me with amplitude and biofield concurrence to make sure that me and the ley line are on the same energy. Well, let's see, how do I say this part? The same wavelength temporarily. Because of the different, well, it's where I live, I can't anchor my ley line all the time. She's the one that runs across my front yard that I'm normally attenuating to. Sometimes it gets pulled into other systems underground, and then it becomes almost too hot, charged, for me to attenuate with. But on mornings like this morning, things are running normal, so trees are out, or the sun is out, trees are happy, and it's easier for me. So, expand out to the room, push everything out, feel the room, and that includes objects. Now, in the day, or back in the day, they used to call that psychometry. Hand somebody an object, and through the object, you could tell where the object had been, who used to own it, things like that, or where it was. Same exact thing as I'm feeling through all the objects in my room, and I can hear them by their actual, not tonal, T-O-N-A-L, but molecular atomic vibration. Then I push again to the rest of my home, including my loved ones. Then I push again out to the edges of my property line, and then turn. Every bit of their software and technology operates on radii, dimension, pi, circumference, diameter, and then back into kill box again. Plus or minus the fourth dimension in Euclidean math of the toroidal field to manipulate by manifold. And a manifold is a physics way that we turn and twist the mathematical operations of a shape so that we can change that shape into what we want it to be. So while I'm holding the density of every single molecular structure, holding it within my field, which is now temporarily taking up all of my yard, and I'm listening through every molecule that I've got only on that radius. Well, you can imagine I can't hold that for very long by myself. And this is where when you work with a group of people that know how to run energy through their body, they know how to do what I just described. And if you think they're not out there, I apologize. Maybe I think they are, because when I was younger, there were a lot of people that knew how to do exactly what I just said. It's just that there's so much misinformation in the energy work community for the last 10 years, like uninstalling chakras, etheric parasites. And I said, those are biosensors. I also said, there's no such thing as uninstalling your circulatory system. When we tore apart the human body and we told everybody nothing existed except what you see, by hiding all the science that goes with cymatics, the power of sound, the biofield itself, plasmonics, the study of plasma changes when you're moving kinetic energy. And we are liquid suits, so we have the ability when we're doing the different things we're doing to create the charge and move and manifest the different plasma states. Oh, it's manifestation with consciousness. No, that's a full-on kinetic change of ions and electron exchange. What did Cartman on South Park tell you? They're waving your hands in the air. Get your meters out. Not only that, why don't you come stand in front of me? I'll make you feel something. We got to stop pretending the air around us is not charged for the metaverse, augmented reality, and other things. And I'm not asserting the person who asked the question genuinely that you are. And thank you for not hating on me. I appreciate that. These two videos today were only for a biofield observation. I have been really not feeling well, and I just wanted to throw something out to the folks that have been working for a long time. And they know what I mean by clean off your front porch, elongate, push all that energy out, take a deep breath, let it go. And when you drop the field, it all grounds. Well, when that happens, that's all your love and healing energy, at least I hope that's what you're putting into your environment, falling and grounding down. Because I let it go. I'm like, but as it falls and I let go and it drains down, I can still feel everything that I just pulled myself thin and arranged. No different than we use a radar. You can't hold that all the time and listen. Again, you'll be very tired, very drained, right? So, for that, in the real world, we use symplectic geometry and crystallography and light to keep an eye, not to mention electrical signals, laser pulses, pulsed array, optoelectronics. Yeah, the human body does the same thing with crystals of different types. For example, this septarian noodle or nodule is a different type of mineral subset than this malachite azurite compound because this is more puffy. I forget what the word is. Apophyllite has the same type of crystalline molecular structure, but this is more permeable, this is more dense, and septarian nodules have unique substrata when they combine their 2 or 3 elementals or mineral derivatives inside the stone. Geophysics. Now, what does that mean to me? Well, if I can hear molecules, and I can, and this is sitting over here in a specific geometric, symplectic geometry position, not just I got to put it in the north and the south, and then I'll listen. For me, I can hear Feng Shui is what they used to call it. It's just the ions and the electrons in the air around you, and which areas of the air around you are more striated with signals and which ones aren't. The wireless is always there, you just can't see it. There's other things that they run with weakened portions of the Earth's electromagnetic fields by surface, so sometimes there's that too. Anyways, so what I do is I put this over here, and I'm listening, and I drop the field, and this should sound like septarian nodule. Septarian nodule. It should not come back to me, septarian nodule, because if it is, then the molecules in here are reacting with something. And I use that as a warning system. I have things placed all over the house. It changes. If I can hear it, it's off. It doesn't sound right. Or as an empath, and in my intuitive empathy, it doesn't feel right. These are systems of subtle energy. That's the scalar level. Millimeter, nano. You're not walking around and looking at it, but you are feeling it. Period. It's there. That's why it's important to let people know if they can do it with a unicorn wearable, which looks just like gloving. If I'm sitting here and I'm like, get this crap off my body so I don't die. See, we're not equivocating that. Not yet. And hopefully you'll never be in that position. But that's how the newest weapon they've got on deck that everyone's spooking about, Ebola Marlboro, I'm the one that talked about that 9 months ago. Because I was watching on the BitChute when they killed the guy that found it. One of them. He was an old researcher, literally, really old guy. And he was in his house in Scotland, or Ireland. Northern Isle there. I think it was Scotland. Anyways, or Northern Ireland. He was doing research. He ran into 2 vaccines that had been developed for the Marlboro virus. And this is like 4 or 5 years ago. And he's like, we haven't seen this virus in 100 years, but there's already 2 vaccines developed. Not in development, not testing, like already there. And he was doing some specialized research that he thought nobody was into because there weren't any papers for it, etc. But Marlboro was right there. I knew this already because of the stuff of Ebola coming next. Well, that's biofield to biofield. That's why we also teach in biofield practice popping a shield. And with that, I used to show, I'll have to put that one back up too. You take a deep breath in, and it's a roll effect of when you say it out loud and you bounce the sound off of your own skin and pull really hard the energy through your feet and up and through your body. See how much work it is to actually feel your own skin, work with your own field, Work with your own body. Feel it yourself. Can you imagine? No offense to you or other folks, but can you imagine the amount of work it takes when they are polarizing the air around you to work against your biofield? Because that's how their technology is set up with the smart grid and the kill grid and the metamaterials at the hypersurface level. So you're pushing against that, and you're pushing through your own body because the biosensors are in vivo, which is what you see me do when I'm doing this. Another kinetic inside the bloodstream effect until I can feel them and hear them go, because they route a signal that has a specific ion channel, electron balancing, or it doesn't work. It's nanotechnology, the way it's working through the photons and how it talks to itself. I should say photonic resistance and cellular charge and how it talks to itself. So for them, they don't want to sit and meditate. They don't want to feel their own field. They want to hurry up and be able to manipulate those air molecules quickly. Thus, the augmentation, and also super soldiers that are programmable, unlike myself, non-invasive N3. 3. Oh my gosh. Non-invasive N3, N4, and N5 from what I've been able to source in documentation, which isn't much, but they extend through different atomic states of manipulating the air around their head. So when teaching biofield practice, and I get it, a lot of people, they look at it on the surface and they're like, Sabrina, I don't even see why this would be helpful. Believe me, that's why I didn't, right away, I'm like, how the fuck do I explain this? But then while I was in Florida, I found it. Between the metamaterials and at the base, when you get to nothing else except you and your body, you have 4 layers. Physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And those layers are in the IEEE of biophotonics and quantum steering. And these metasurface materials have multiple different commands, code, that AI can execute to start changing cellular state back and forth, up and down. And what you're going to tell me is, again, I'm just projecting kind of at this person's question, not this person. Well, there's no way that you could feel it. You need AI. That's because they took it away from everybody for 150 years. When I was a kid, they had this fucking tech. And I was the one that was the control. Because I kick your ass. Always hear you coming. Always see what you're fucking doing. Because I'm natural. They copied telepathy, empathy, precognition. It's inherent in human tissue. They suppress it so you can't grow your own internal organs properly or use your own fluids or your brain. Which is horrible. That is absolutely horrible. So for me, I taught the synergist block, shock, shunt, and shield that the Lord rebuke thee, amen, because I knew there was a mathematical operator going on. I could hear Juniper networks. I could hear the software, user datagram protocol routing through my tissue. I'm like, what the fucking get off of me. But in 2019, that was the last year before I felt the nano throat punch me in the side. It combined on the inside. I had a big bruise right here. It was the weirdest experience. It formed a fist right there and punched on the outside of my neck and all this bruised up. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck that was, but it ain't happening again. And then I kept researching. This is before I was online. Then I ran into artificial neural networks and generative neural networks. And I didn't know at the time what that was. It was when I was leaving Brighteon last year. And that came out of nowhere. I thought I'd lost my fucking mind. Because while I'm doing my, pushing all the energy off, here comes this cyclical little oscillatory line, almost look like that Sentinel thing in the Matrix movie. And it's coming from it's like the wave is coming in, and I can feel that wherever it's coming from, it's building current. And I'm like, not a fuck with that. Get away from me, because that's exactly how we set up and start attenuating and tuning your environment before we start moving those molecules into range. That was a generative neural network, and I was right. There was a Boeing test for mid-Earth orbit satellite. Now, these people connect using a whole lot of different properties, materials, and by connect to their cyber-physical backbone if they're in the major cities. But when you're traveling or you're using wormholes and liminal spaces, there's other ways to go about that. The point is that when that oscillation is coming through the atmosphere and you are aware of your own body part fully and completely, you're going to hear it ahead of time. Now, again, at a simple level, we're hitting a particular area with excessive radar on one of our big E3 Sentry units for Boeing, or Northrop Grumman's, I think they're called Hawkeyes. and you're sitting in your house, you will feel that on the back of your head, pulling on your muscle structure. Yeah, it's electromagnetic. How do you shield from that? You have to be able to feel your own energy without augmentation. They didn't offer that to anybody. They told us we were stupid for being able to feel our own body while they subtly electrocuted people into submission, while they strapped on wearables and all these extra ways to absolutely run through people's bone and tissue, insert new personality overlays on the neocortex structures, and you out there, you know, everybody else around them is purposely kept dumbed down, unable to defend themselves, and has no idea what these people do as far as looking through you and being able to manipulate you by changing air molecules in your house. And that's just the smart grid and the AI. So, biofield practice is unique to every individual. What I tried to show is, before, not recently, but before when I had the videos up, was clean off your front porch, push all that energy out and off, drop it, let your land, you know, let yourself, your own energy ground into your own land. I go to a place of prayer and joy and singing and, you know, just building up the charge. I walk my prayers out in my kitchen. I send energy to the node in my house, and I listen. One of the ways that most people know it is Augary, A-U-G-A-R-Y. When you extend your biofield, you should be able to feel and hear anything, like see what the birds see, hear what the wind hears. That's how it works, biologically. That's why most of their stuff is built off of biological mimetics for their synthetic biology. They didn't want to have to work for the abilities. They didn't want to have to wait and train. They wanted them now. And they wanted to make sure that no one else could use their abilities. That's all it is. I hope that helps clarify some things for folks. I'm sorry I'm not feeling the best. I feel like a cotton ball head. No matter what I do, it's my shower running. So take care out there. Good luck. And remember, biofield practice, for now, I don't have it up here because I don't quite know how I want to handle it going forward. But it's personal. It's your body, man. How does your body interpret your ions and electrons in the environment around you? Scalar, all the way down and all the way back up again. And then, how do you execute that? Where's everybody else's biofield practice? Come to think of it, it isn't just about piloerection. And as far as my hand motions go, people have accused me of all sorts of things, mudras and whatnot. But nope, it's just my personal practice and the way that I know, because I can feel it. And I use Frizzen, the music frequency stuff, when I'm doing different things, just because I memorize what it's like, setting it on a control. The music is the control, no different than when I'm listening through the environment. This is the control. And then I compare what I'm hearing to what it should be. And I use certain pieces of music repetitively for that reason, just to keep myself in proper acuity, like a finely tuned instrument. And that's why it's different for everybody, which is why I've been very cautious as far as telling people, do it this way or do it that way, because folks really are like, well, hey, if you can do it, I can do it, and that's true. But you're not me, and I'm not you. So if you're more of a generative empath, loving might be something that doesn't really work for you. I'm a more high-frequency person. I'm moving all the time. I'm all over the place. That works for me. It's different depending on your biology, too, what you resonate with. And then, of course, your epigenetics, who you're around in your environment. So I hope that helps. And I hope nobody feels insulted or anything. I'm just spitballing this at the moment because it's a good question. And I know some people already asked me, they're like, hey, where did all your biofield practice go? Wanted to redo it anyways based on the metasurface materials, the newer wearables specifically, not wearables, but I'm still waiting on their synthetic biology people to jump out here further than just hiding in the woods behind Grandma, who she said in 2018 she was reviewing a bunch of transhumanism technology stuff. And again, I'm an N2. I know they're out there, and I know how they work for gradient wave and phase concurrence. I just haven't said a lot about it because I really would prefer that people begin to truly grasp that being a free-range human is where it's at. If you have your own abilities in check within you, you are mathematically faster than they are every single time. The step one is admitting that this is technology and that it is a choice whether or not you augment your body. They took that away from everybody by deploying COVID as their cyber physical backbone. And that stuff ain't going to stop. Pardon my face. So the more that we lift up and out of them lying to everybody and pretending that this doesn't exist without their Bill Gates AI, the better off we're going to be. And that means that seeing other people who have their own biofield practice come out and say, hey, this is how I feel it and this is how I do it, would be a beautiful gift to everyone. Because I may do it one way, but we need to see how the other gifts out there are doing it. I am a high-frequency broadcast network telepath, anytime. But there are plenty of other people out there that are generative empaths. They can pop a shield an entire room of people, and it's no issue. The healers work in a totally different way. There's a lot of discussion to be had, and their biofield practice is really different. Like my friend Manya, you would not see her moving her hands like that, but you'd be able to feel the charge. And Arcania is a similar way, or has a similar way. And generative empaths, like I said, they can boom. I call it a boom shield because it drops on the whole room, and there's a certain amount of time that they're so solid in that energy line, it thickens to density that the shield thickens back and forth, just like a cellular wall. And then that's really interesting to see. But those guys, they don't move that much either, guys or girls. They're like these big generators on the ground, usually with a couple rocks, or just, and then you can feel it pool all around everybody else. It's really interesting. But that's what you get when you love your friends. Amen.